Ladies and gentlemen, whether you follow chess every single day, or only occasionally, or never at all, you probably know of Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura. This man is insane at chess. Recently, in some of the elite tournaments like Candidates, he didn't do so great, but he plays all the time in basically every major online event. And in this video, I'm going to show you something he did over the course of several days that I just couldn't believe. I couldn't believe at all. So this starts at the bottom of the screen. Hikaru wins a game, and then he wins a bunch more games. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 on this page. Just on this page alone. Now we go all the way down here, we go right here. 13 wins, all right? 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and now he has a draw. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 41. It takes like 40 games until he loses one. And we scroll all the way to the top. He made another draw, and the list isn't even done. I am going to the next page, and this man won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more games. At the end of the streak that I have just shown you, which has taken me nearly a minute to scroll through, he had something like 65 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws. What? How is that possible? Anyway, I selected 4 games from this absolute massacre of players, just completely eviscerating people. I don't know. I don't know how this man just does this, like, for fun. Like, he's just chilling and having himself a good time and beating people. I'm going to show you a game against Hans Niemann. We're going to kick it off with a win against the one and only Hans Niemann, which is not an easy feat. I mean, some of us have done it, but others, none of you have beaten Hans. Then I'm going to show you another game against a 3000, a 3100, and another one. And obviously nothing got spoiled. You know he's going to win every game. I mean, I could have chose like 10 games, to be honest with you. Let's show this one. Hikaru getting it done in positional ways. He's getting it done in defensive ways, offensive ways, dynamic ways. So in this game, we have an Italian. Knight f6, d3, h6. And h6 is one of these moves that you play because you don't want to deal with any nonsense, but also it's just one of the lines of the Italian. And then you play d6, g6, bishop g7, and you almost play it like a Peer's defense. You play it like a King's Indian defense. It's just a different way to play the Italian. Hans plays this very mysterious move, a4. Tough to explain a4 to a beginner. Why does white not just castle? g6, and now Hans plays h3. Both of these moves suppress something in the black position. Don't let him naturally develop his pieces. Bishop g7, castles, and castles. And so this is our position from the opening. White is going to want to do something with these boys, reposition them in some way, maybe advance in the middle at some point. Let's see what Hikaru does. So a5, taking some space away. a6. Now that pawn is always going to be a weakness, but, white is very comfortable. Bishop d2 is a move played very quickly by Hans. Hikaru offers a trade of the light-squared bishop, and the resulting position gives him 2 distinct pawn weaknesses. They have nothing defending them, but they are unattackable. Like knight h4 is a great way to attack a pawn. And the black just plays king h7, and the knight on h4 is terrible and in the line of sight of this queen, which is why Hans goes here. So the knight is going to transfer to the other side. Hikaru very preemptively goes king h7. The knight continues its reroute. Hans prepares to expand in the center, and at this very moment, Hikaru strikes the center with d5. Now, I have a feeling this is why Hikaru has struggled maybe a little bit more in the classical chess recently, but has had tremendous success in online. I mean, frankly, blitz is different, right? You have to make a good enough move fast enough. That is really it. And in particular, the online versus offline dynamic, like the nerves are completely different in person. I can tell you that, firsthand as a person that's rated 3,000 in both formats online, but frequently loses games over the board. Hans is a little bit of a better position, which is much more exploitable when you have 2 hours on the clock. So Hikaru now plays knight g8, undeveloping his piece, maybe looking to go here, maybe looking to just stabilize the center. Bishop e3, and Hans brings this bishop to c5. That was a cool little reroute of the bishop. Hikaru goes here to potentially anticipate the opening of this position. I mean, so far, Hans is playing excellent. Like, every move that he's making is really taking space away from black. He's putting a lot of pressure. And now he has prime position to play this move d4. So Hans has basically reached the crescendo of his position, right? Crescendo of his position. He has a very good position, but what now? So we have pawn takes, and now pawn takes. Apparently not the best move. Apparently taking back with the pawn was bad. You needed to take with the bishop and begin trading off some of black's pieces. Okay, c takes d4 is instead the move that Hans plays. Knight f6, Hikaru brings the knight back, and now a very big moment in this game. Do you play the move e5? It's a very committal move, e5. You completely lock the structure. It doesn't feel like a very, obvious thing to do. Hikaru's baiting Hans to do it. He doesn't do it, and Hikaru correctly transforms the position. And now goes to play e5 himself. Now here, there is a brief moment where white has an advantage. You're about to see it. Knight h4 is played, and Hikaru plays rook e6, defending this. Now, the very obvious move here is some sort of rook to g4, okay? Now, both guys here miss something. What they miss is that Hans can play d e5, okay? Now, if Hikaru were to play knight e5, you would play rook e1 and apply overwhelming pressure over here, but that is not what happens. There's rook e5, and then there's a knight sacrifice. And I have a feeling maybe both of these guys saw, like, rook c5, for example. And after queen c5, king g6, it just looks like black has two pieces and is going to come back and have two pieces. But white is winning if white plays one and only one move, and it's going back and lining up this attack. And this is apparently winning, because after king f7, you give this check, and then you come here. Yeah, that is apparently the way that you do this, because the queen is on a different square. But that's a little tricky, that you have this knight sacrifice and then this yo-yo with the queen. And, that's the experience of playing Hikaru, is like, you oftentimes have to beat him in a way where in classical chess, maybe it's doable because you have a ton of time. In blitz chess, it's not. Now, Hikaru is able to come back in this game to this position, but he is down quite some time. Hans here had a very big time advantage. He obviously thought he had some chances to win, but now Hikaru has this position. He's up a pawn, and it's 2 minutes apiece. You're just not going to survive this. He is one of the best in the world at putting the pressure on you throughout this game. How do you win an endgame like this with black? It's very difficult, because even though you are up a pawn, it is clearly a defensive pawn. It's not an offensive pawn. You are not hunting down the other pawns on the other side of the board. White has very dominant control and a much better piece than you. None of that matters, because, Hikaru is going to put some pressure on the opponent. Look at this, by the way. 59 seconds to 123. That's a massive time disadvantage this low in the game. This long in the game, right? So queen e4, but this is one of the best bullet players in the world. Doesn't matter that he's unk now, right? Doesn't matter. Man's turning 39 this year. That makes no difference. Rook d2, down 23 seconds, no problem. Watch this, boom. Centralizing the queen. Hans has to, play defense. Hikaru brings the king back, and we are in a knight versus bishop endgame where he understands that if he loses this pawn, it doesn't even matter because the knight is going to get trapped. Hikaru spots that none of this is even playable, because if this pawn were to be taken, you would immediately shut the door on the escape of the knight, which is really nasty that he spots that. We have king e3, and Hans Niemann is up 10 seconds, but it doesn't matter, because this is just absolutely methodical play here. Bishop b4, you can't move the knight, and you can't move the king. So you need to keep the king over here. I will infiltrate with my bishop, and at some moment, I would just walk in with my pieces, and I will win the game. So right here, if you played something like king f3, Hikaru would probably bring his king over, try to trade the pawn, bishop d4, b5, etc. Basically like this. Okay, you can do that as well. Check here, and then you would, you'd play c5, b5, etc. Or c5, king c6, like that, and then that's the way you would do it. But Hans loses his pawns, and Hikaru just cleans it up nicely. Nice win against the very strong Hans Niemann. Now, anytime Hikaru plays the Caro-Kann, we gotta pay attention. He's playing my opening. This is an opening that I virtually invented. Yes, I know it was invented by Caro and Khan, but, I reinvented it. Let's just say it how it is. Classical Caro-Kann. Hikaru trades, plays like this, and plays g takes f6. This is called the Bronstein-Larsen variation of the Caro-Kann. The idea is, most people don't play this. They play pawn takes f6 this way, gf6. The idea is to develop the bishop to f5, the queen to c7, the knight to d7, and long castle. And then you play e5. Honestly, if you want to go to your local club and play an offbeat line that nobody studied in years because the computer doesn't recommend it, this opening is very decent. Nobody knows how to play these positions as white. They just know that they're slightly better. Their favorite course tells them how to get some sort of advantage like this. You know, white is 0.7. 0.7 doesn't mean anything for 99% of chess players. Honestly, it doesn't even mean anything if you're, rated 3060. And unfortunately, even if you name yourself only strong moves, you probably will not always play strong moves. Bishop back to g6. Hikaru is ready to give up the light squared bishop. Knight d7, queen c7. It's everything I've promised. And from the opening, practically speaking, white is winning. White's winning. Probably Hikaru should not have long castled. Should have won bishop g7 like this. But this is a position where you have clearly castled into the line of sight of the opponent. And white here should just go ballistic. b4, a4, b5, and just go ham. And you also. Queen e2, that's a little bit too feeble of a move. And this next move is just pathetic. I mean, come on. Bishop to h6. This is crazy. This is only a move you play if you play Hikaru. And I mean, for the record, I think I've actually lost to the person with the white pieces. Oh. 245 losses to Hikaru and 6 wins? How about me? Oh, it doesn't even say. All right, well, that's a lot. I have not lost to Hikaru 240 times. I don't. I mean, I would if we played that much, but anyway, I was trying to see my score against the player with the white piece. I've definitely lost to him before. But you can't go here. What is this? Go b4. Come on, you gotta attack. You gotta attack, right? Bishop h6, Hikaru stable, and I mean, it's still no b4. And then this is just the rooks that you're not even supporting the attack anymore. And Hikaru's going to start taking over the game here. He kind of outmaneuvers the opponent. And now I really like his play here from Hikaru. He plays f4. He gets the pawn there first. And when white goes rook d2, I like this little maneuver from Hikaru. Queen d8, knight f8. Look at this. This is Karpovian chess. Queen here to preemptively guard the pawn. Knight f8 to go knight g6. And then he repositions the knight on f4. And after this little maneuver, black is just better because there is not a single pawn defending the white king. And since there are no pawns defending the white king, it is just a matter of time until the defense is stripped and Hikaru is going to break in on that side of the board and he is going to win. He grabs one layer of defense. He grabs the second layer. The king has to come out. And f5. And f5 is not even the best move because it actually allows a trade of bishops followed by the trade of the queens. So this is not accurate, but in a 3-minute game, anything is possible. Here, black can consider king a8, which steps out of the way of this diagonal. I mean, king a8 is kind of a tough move to play here. It's much more practical to play something like e5, which is a bad move, but it's much more practical to play something like that compared to king a8. Here, white needed to play take, and queen f4. He obviously didn't because he thought that after this rook g4, he was in trouble, but the king can actually come forward, and that's pretty badass. And now the king is infiltrating. It's attacking a bunch of stuff. Life is good. But now, this is the issue. You have to take the pawn, and once you take the pawn, your king will be directly in the line of sight of the pieces. And this is the end of the game. Queen h4, overwhelming pressure, the bishop has fallen, and white resigns. And evidently, it's not only strong moves. Against Hikaru, he just makes you look bad. He just does. The guy with the white pieces wouldn't have played like this against me. I just have to say. If I had gone here, the guy with the white pieces would have went b4 against me in half a second. And that's just one of the effects of, or at a minimum, a4. Send the flank pawn, go for an attack. And honestly, if you give this position in a book, in 2 seconds, the move should be obvious to you, right? Like, you need to go b4 here with white. In fact, I might even put this in one of my next books. That one, right there. And if you're watching this, I've been told, signed copies are running out this week, so if you haven't gotten one from Strand yet, you still can, but hey, 10,000 of you have pre-ordered. Can I just say thank you while we're here? Thank you. It's incredible. It might even come out as a New York Times bestseller. Back to back, can you imagine? Chess books. You guys are awesome. Those of you that got it, believe in me as your chess coach. And I am about 40% done with writing the last one, master level, for those of you that want to get to 2200. I know some of you reach the level of the top of the book already. So if you're 1600, you might look at that and be like, I'm too strong for it. You'll still learn some stuff, but you always have the next one to look forward to. Now, Grigori Aparin, who's a very strong grandmaster. But is he, though? Like, really? Because I've beaten him like 3 times, and I mean, that really is a mark on your career, no? No, I'm just kidding. He's incredibly strong. And Arseny Nesterov, who's a Russian grandmaster, and he's also really good. And I don't think I've ever beaten him. What's his score against Hikaru? 1-13. And Aparin? 3-33. Dude, I gotta download a report of Hikaru's most lopsided rivalries because they're so ridiculous. Anyway, this is a Sicilian defense. I believe this was a dragon. Yes, a dragon, one of the most fun lines. And Hikaru plays this line of the dragon, which is very fun. It's H5. I don't know what this is called, but this is like one of these dragons where you don't allow bishop H6 and you don't allow G4. You obviously also kind of don't castle, but it's super chill. It's called like I don't know. I don't actually know what it's called. Long castle, knight bd7. It might be called like the Dirty Harry, because Harry the H-pawn. He likes to go by Harold, for the record, I asked him. And then black goes here, and I gotta tell you, this is a Sicilian player's dream. You're not getting mated on this side of the board like you are in every dragon. Your pawns here are perfectly positioned for queenside counterplay, and white didn't get anything. The whole reason white plays like this in this structure is to very quickly generate an attack, and this is going to show you what happens if you just cannot do that. Because in this position, Aparin, he tries to go for, I don't even know what, frankly. Hikaru's play is much more easy. H3, I mean, I don't know what white is doing, right? Like, if you're playing A3, H3 in the middle of the game, you've lost the plot, right? H4, now black has equalized, and here he goes to take over the position. The fact that you can castle now because this bond has been broken, look at that, very well timed. White goes F4. This is a free pawn with black if you want to lose the game immediately, because after takes, and then bishop takes, I mean, you will just get eviscerated. At a minimum, you're going to lose back the pawn, and then at a maximum, you will get mated. Now, Aparin tries to go down the middle here. This just doesn't work. You cannot attack a person down the middle of the board. Unironically, running down mid, by the way. Recently Faker and Tyler 1 played some chess. In case you missed it, you should check out my video recap. Great game, by the way. 2 really strong players, considering they are not anywhere near full-time in chess. Anyway, you can't attack down the middle in a Dragon Sicilian. It just doesn't work. Black's position is way more set to come alive if the center opens. And Hikaru's gonna prove that. The knight jumps in, the bishop is here, the knight is here, this, bang, 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 pawns coming down, bang, bang, bang. And the way that he, breaks through here, he takes, and it's just like everything is weak. The queen targets 3 different things. If queen takes d4 is played, there's always bishop c2 at the end. You're threatening the bishop still. If the bishop, goes back to f1, this is disgusting. If knight c2, you actually block your own queen. If queen c2, you lose your queen. Unbelievably vile game here. Takes, queen e2, and bishop is taken. And at the end of the sequence, one guy has a horse, and the other guy does not. And the guy that has the horse is going to ride off into the steppe of Ulaanbaatar. I don't know why Hikaru just became Mongolian. But he's Mongolian right now. He's on a horse. He's doing the Mongolian throat singing, I don't know what is going on anymore, okay? I've completely lost the plot. Anyway, bishop a6, rook b8, and Aparin he just resigns. He's like, I'm done. I'm good. I can't guard my bishop anymore. If I go rook g5, I just get hit with king h6, and I quite literally do not have a square to defend myself. Now, he could have resigned even before that. He probably could have resigned, here. This is a dragon gone terribly wrong. Now, Hikaru was down a lot on time, but 2.5 minutes is more than enough. And how does Hikaru beat a Russian? All right, in this game, he plays this, which is a French defense that actually turns kind of into a Sicilian defense and allows the move d5. And now we are in a Benoni. We are in a Benoni defense. So it's d4, and then black plays e6, c5, but white never played c4. That's the thing. In these Benonis, like right now it's 0.7, after c4, it's 0.5. It's not as good. You don't actually have to move your pawn here. You can put a knight there where it exerts a lot of pressure as opposed to c4, which is the traditional Benoni, and then usually this pawn stays there, and this pawn takes. So Hikaru gets a Benoni structure, a6, a4, black is not allowed to play b5, bishop b7, and he goes to trade off the bishop for the knight so that white loses a little bit of control in the middle, knight f6. Maybe he's not going to trade the bishop for the knight, maybe he's going to do it at the right moment. Actually here, this is a very good anti-Soviet strategy that Hikaru is implementing, because Soviet chess is rooted in positional, static, smart, slow type of play. All right? And the best way to play this position with white is to play g4. And if you play g4, you are inherently taking a lot of risk. That is dynamic play. But sometimes the position demands that. And there it is. There's g4, and white now has quite a bit of a better position, a lot more space. Black is stuck. But you have weakened your king a little bit, and maybe black is going to get a little counterplay. So here comes queen a5, right? And so now you kind of have to commit. The computer wants g5, and then it wants to move the bishop to h2 and sort of say, well, the pawn is controlling the knight and controlling the bishop. g5 is a tough move to play. Instead, white goes here, which doesn't make much sense, because g5, knight h5 now will just attack the bishop. So Hikaru has less space. He wants to trade rooks. The side with less space wants to trade more pieces, because then there's a lot less pieces to control the space with, right? So like if you have less space and your opponent has active pieces, they are targeting your position. But the more pieces you trade, the better it's going to be for you. So white goes knight d2. Hikaru goes knight b6, stopping knight c4. White goes knight c4, but the side with less space wants to trade. So this is a trade that completely loses the advantage for white. Right? Now, it's very easy if I just define these things, right? If I just kind of explain these things to you, and you're like, oh, obviously, I mean, what kind of an idiot would do this? Well, what's funny is, you know, knight c4 could work for white if he played b3. Had he played something like b3, knight c4 would maybe make a little more sense, because then he could take with the b pawn and attack on the b file, right? Attack on the b file. Oh my god. Sometimes my nose is so itchy. Dust mites or whatever, I have no idea. Anyway, he does it like this, and this is just not good. And now Hikaru is going to take over the game. Queen b4. And do you take and allow Hikaru play down the c-file? I'm not sure you have much better of a choice. And Hikaru plays rook c8. He's got a5, knight d5, and rook c2 incoming. Black has better pieces. The bishops are honestly kind of mirroring each other in terms of usefulness. And Hikaru takes on d5 and doesn't even take the second pawn. He plays f6. He's prioritizing bringing the king, the pawn, the bishop. White has very poor queenside pawns, so Hikaru's gonna try to survive the queenside play like this. He's up a pawn. Objectively speaking, the position is probably around equal, but you can also just lose. And this is losing because this is a fork. Maybe here white thought he had check and completely forgot that the rook can come back. Or he just missed it. And that is what happens. And now winning this position will take a little bit of effort, but it is completely winning because a rook and a bishop versus a rook is a draw, although even that's difficult, but now you have pawns. And this is easy peasy. Hikaru won 65 out of 68 games that he played. And if you also want to win 65 out of 68 games that you played, no, just kidding. No, they're gonna ban you for cheating. That's no. This man is so insane at online blitz, like just that online blitz and bullet. It's mind blowing. You just saw that stat: 240 games, 260 games. What was it? And like 6 defeats. For every 40 games, the other guy wins a game. That guy's 3,100. He's better than me. I don't know. Get out of here.